Are we about to get multiple time jumps in Stranger Things Season 5? What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. So today I'm talking about how we could have multiple time jumps in the final season of Stranger Things. Before I dive into this discussion and some of these theories, be sure to hit that like button. It helps out more than you guys know. Subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. And if you guys want to watch Stranger Things as well as other movies and TV shows with me, you can actually do so on my Patreon, link down below. My commentary tracks for every single episode of Stranger Things are out right now, and you guys can sync up and watch with me. In fact, my commentary tracks for the first episode of every season are free to watch. I also watch movies, and I've got tons of content planned over there, so come join the Patreon community for $5 a month. Your support goes a very long way. And I'm running a giveaway. There's about 10 spots left. You'll have a chance to win a Stranger Things Funko Pop, a Disney 4K Steelbook, a movie poster, and more. But without further ado, let's talk Stranger Things. So recently on Twitter, or X, pick your poison, @RejectedScooper put out a tweet saying that there will be multiple time jumps in the final season of Stranger Things. Now, I'm going to be blunt, there's really no source with this. It's just one of the Scooper accounts that put this out there, so there's not a lot of validity to this claim. However, this is a speculative theory video, so I'm going to take it and run with it because there's actually more evidence than you might think suggesting that this could be the case where we have multiple time jumps. For starters, we know without a shadow of a doubt we're getting at least one time jump in this final season. Season 4 ends in March of 1986 with our main group of characters standing on a hillside in Hawkins, Indiana, looking out and seeing the Upside Down bleed into Hawkins as we know it. That was in March of 1986, like I said. Well, over the past few months since Season 5 filming has been underway, we've gotten multiple photo dumps on Instagram from Ross Duffer that have actually given away that we're having a time jump. One of the biggest giveaways is this photo of Caleb McLaughlin, who plays Lucas, and he's got his hand next to Max's hand. He's actually wearing a watch. The date on that watch is in November. Then if you factor in some of the photos from inside of Hawkins High School, Christmas decorations are out and about, plus every character that we've seen so far is wearing long pants and some characters even donning winter coats, so it's a colder time of year, likely November to December. There's even been a document floating around on social media from the Hawkins Police Department that is dated 1987, signifying that we are likely going to have portions of this season take place the following year after the events of the end of Season 4. As I've said in past videos, I don't think it would be crazy for the first episode of Season 5 to take place immediately after the events of Season 4. That is, after we get a little cold open flashback to Will's time in the Upside Down, then we get the Stranger Things intro, and then we immediately open right on that hilltop, picking up where we left off. Then all of the first episode of Season 5 could take place in that time period. They could have a false victory where they think they've eradicated the Upside Down and things seem to be going fine, and then we have a time jump to some point in 1987 where Vecna makes his official return. We could even jump to like the summer of 1987, and then the back half of the season could have another time jump into later in 1987, lining up with this rumor of there being multiple time jumps in the final season. In fact, if Netflix does go the route of releasing Stranger Things in multiple volumes, say 3 parts like the final season of Cobra Kai is doing, it would make sense for each volume to take place within a different time period. The first could take place right after Season 4, then we could have a chunk of time sometime in 1987, and then a chunk of time even later in 1987. I made a full video talking about if Stranger Things will actually release in 3 parts. I'll link that up above. So we know for sure part of this season is taking place in 1987, but what if we're going even further ahead in time to say 1988? Well, this photo's been making the rounds on social media lately, and it was supposedly found on the set of Hawkins High School. You can see this backpack, and there's a patch on it that says Camp Highland 1988. Now, I immediately Googled Camp Highland to see what came up, and nothing spelled Highland came up, but there was a Camp Highland spelled Highland, and funnily enough, it's actually in Georgia, which is where the Hawkins High School set is in real life. I've actually visited it. I'll have a link up above to one of my 2 filming location vlogs, but that got me thinking one of 2 things. If in fact this photo is actually from the Hawkins High School set and it's actually being used in the final season, we could be going to 1988, and Camp Highland could be paying homage to the real life Camp Highland in Georgia, as we know Stranger Things is filmed here for 4 seasons, so they could have had encounters with people who've worked there, or maybe someone on the set worked at Camp Highland as well. It's like a summer camp for kids, so it could just be a little nod to Camp Highland, as they spelled it slightly differently. But then I was also thinking, what if this is just a backpack that's been at this school forever, because the school building actually used to serve as a legit high school back in the day, day, and someone went to Camp Highland and they got that patch on their backpack, and this backpack has just been sitting there abandoned for years. Of course, that doesn't add up when it comes to the spelling, but maybe it was a misprint, or maybe some of the merch back in the day from the real Camp Highland was spelled that way. Who's to say, really? But either way, we have to take it with a grain of salt because it doesn't come from like a legitimate source. So if this patch is legit from a prop from the final season, something's got to be taking place in 1988. Usually, at the start of every season, a good chunk of time has passed since the previous season. Between seasons 1 and 2, we went from December of 1983 all the way to October of 1984, and then in season 3, we were in the summer of 1985, in season 4, we were in the spring of 1986, so it would make the most sense to be in the fall of 1987. But with this rumor saying there will be multiple time jumps, we also have to factor in the potential time jump at the end of the season, another trademark of Stranger Things seasons, because every single season of Stranger Things, in the finale, there's been a time jump at the very end of the episode. And I would put money down right now the Duffer Brothers will continue to do that in this final season. The question is, how far into the future are we going to jump? Sometimes it's 2 days, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's multiple months. How far in advance will we go at the very end of the series finale of Stranger Things? I have 2 theories. The first is that we could go Deathly Hallows Part 2 style in this thing, jumping years ahead to see the main group of kids alive and well, happily married, and with kids potentially. And we see their kids hanging out playing D&D with the main group of kids sort of showing them how it's done. That would be a real sweet way to do things. Obviously, I don't know if they would be able to age up the kids that much. They would almost have to recast. We could see almost a recreation of the opening D&D game from season 1, episode 1, with our main group of kids, and then we could just see like adult versions of Mike and Eleven, whoever it may be, from afar with them looking on proudly. You could even CGI their faces up. They've CGI'd their faces onto younger people. It'd probably be easier to do it for older folks. We've also seen the technology used with things like Captain America: The First Avenger, so anything's really possible. My other theory for a potential time jump at the end of the season is just a few years in time to see our main kids graduating from Hawkins High School once they fully defeated Vecna and the Upside Down. This is sort of a common way for a lot of these high school / coming of age shows or movies to conclude with our main group of characters graduating. I think of High School Musical 3, I think of something like 13 Reasons Why even. A lot of times these coming of age series or movies like to end with our group of characters graduating, ending this chapter of their life, aka the show that we just watched, and heading on into the unknown, the future. Those are both pretty extreme time jumps for the end of a season. They would mark the longest amount of time passed in one of these time jumps at the end of a season by far. So they could also just, do the typical 1 month later, 2 days later type thing. We'll see what the Duffers cook up for us. So taking all this into consideration, what will the potential time jumps for this final season actually be? The first one's easy. We're gonna jump from the end of season 4 on that hillside to some point in time in 1987. Likely the fall. The second one, though, could be a jump from some point earlier in 1987 to a point forward in 1987. Say they jump from the end of season 4 to the middle of 87 to the end of 87 that we see later on. What could a time jump after that be? From the end of 1987 to some point in time in 1988, say the summer. At this point, things are getting a little jumbled on my head and I'm getting a little nervous, so I don't think they're going to go that crazy. I'll talk about that more in a second. And of course, a final time jump could be at the very end of the series finale, jumping ahead in the future to them graduating high school or to the kids with kids, which would be really jarring in a way, but I think they could handle it. If they were to do any more time jumps than I just discussed, I would be really worried about this season finding its footing and feeling like a contained season of television. So I just spent this whole video saying, what if we get multiple time jumps? How would they go about it? When in reality, there's only 8 episodes in this final season of the show. Granted, a lot of them will be an hour and a half probably, maybe even 2 hours, but I highly doubt with only that number of episodes for a final season, they're gonna be able to actually jump from 1986, 1987, to 1988 to the future. It would just get way too hectic, and I don't think that's what the Duffer Brothers want to do. I have full confidence and trust in them to stick the landing, and because of that, I really only think we're going to have the standard amount of time jumps in this final season. I do think they'll have one added one because we're going to see scenes from 1986 and we're actually going to jump to 1987 as opposed to just opening in 1987. I then think we're going to have some scenes in the future at the very end of the series finale. But if we jump from one period of time in 1987 to another, that's where things could get a little hectic. And also, if they go the volume route of 3 volumes in particular, Each one could be set during a different time period, and I believe they could make that work. But in all honesty, I believe the majority of this season will take place in 1987, with a time jump at the beginning and a time jump at the end. Nothing more, nothing less. But if we've learned anything over the 4-season run this show's had so far, it's to have full confidence in the Duffer Brothers and everyone involved. That's all we can do at the end of the day, and I have full confidence they will deliver. But what do you guys think? Will there be multiple time jumps in this final season? Will the bulk of the season take place in 1987? Will we jump even farther in the future at the very end of this season? Let me know in the comments down below, and of course hit that like button. Subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. And if you guys want to watch all of Stranger Things with me, as well as other movies and TV shows, you can do so on my Patreon. For $5 a month over there, your support means the world, and you'll gain access to my commentary tracks for tons of movies and shows. In fact, you can go watch the first episode of every season of Stranger Things with me for free right now. The next 10 people to join will be entered into a giveaway, and then I'll be ending that giveaway and announcing the winner. You'll have a chance to win some cool prizes, more details on my Patreon. But consider becoming a Film Stock patron today to help my content creation journey. It would mean more than you know. That'll do it for this Stranger Things Season 5 update though. Thank you guys as always for watching, and until next time, I'll see you on the other side of the Upside Down.